All right, we ready to go, guys? All right. So as usual, just use the raise your hand function, and we'll call on you for questions. We'll start with David Uppen.
Uh, Jay, when you take this job, how do you get to know your personnel skills? What does that process look like, and what were your impressions from that?
I think first you just kind of have a number of meetings. It's an initial meeting just to see what their thoughts are, what they think their strengths are as a player, just to discuss academics, social life, parents, all that stuff. You want to get a good picture of the guy you're coaching, and then just over time, you just get more of a feel for how they think about things. And then obviously you get to the field and we start going. But the adjustment is really important, kind of like, you have a couple practices. How is he developing? What's his mindset? How is he thinking about himself and how to get better?
All right, next question will go to Austin Price, and then we'll go to Blake Topmeyer after that.
Jay, you recently moved D. Beckwith over to running back after playing some tight end and wide receiver in fall camp. How natural has he been, and kind of what are your overall thoughts about him? And then two, you've probably got one of the thinner positions on this team with as far as when you think about experience. How have you tried to roll with the punches of having kids miss due to contact tracing and that type of thing through fall camp?
Well, D has done a really good job. The first thing is in high school, he did some Wildcat and some things. So he had an understanding of it, but I think he's really, we tried when he first moved over, it hadn't been long, but I tried to stick with what he does naturally, and kind of adjust from there. And I think he's done well with it. There's been some times he had to kind of get him in position, a little bit. I've had to yell some things at him just as far as technique and what to do, but he's done a really good job so far here. So for a taller guy, he has the athleticism to do it and to play the position. So he's been a really big help for us. It's just every day we're going to do what it takes as far as, who may be out or whatever changes may come up, and we do what it takes to get the things done we need to get done in order to prepare ourselves for the first game.
Blake?
Yeah, Jay, whenever you came here, what were your impressions of Ty Chandler and Eric Gray, and how has now working with them, compared to what you'd seen from them on tape and what you knew about them coming in?
Well, you can tell a lot of things on tape. You can't tell everything. I think the biggest thing is before, watching them on tape, you could see some athleticism, the ability, the speed, all those different things. But, it's been a joy being around these guys. And, we've been through a adverse situation. So, we've almost gotten to know each other more because of that, and how those young men are prepared. I mean, they've prepared, they've worked hard through every kind of situation they've had to deal with. So, I'm really impressed by those young men, those two guys. I mean, they've done the things they're supposed to do to lead this room.
All right, we'll go to Patrick Brown and then Jimmy Himes after that.
Jay, kind of following up on Ty, when you get maybe a younger player in, maybe you feel like as a coach you can make a bigger difference developing them. When you have a senior and you're coming in, your first year, how do you kind of go about approaching him, a player who's been around, who's played a lot, trying to get them to kind of go take the next step, or how do you get them to improve their game at this kind of late stage in their career?
Well, I think you always got to do that, and that's what I talk and discuss with him. I mean, it's almost like you always got to be like a freshman. You got to try to learn as much as possible to get your game to where you want it to be. And it was important to me to ask him what he wanted, and how he wanted this thing to go, because I think that's the key, is him having trust in me and knowing that I have his best interests at heart. And I really feel like, Ty's done a great job, and he's really focused on what does it take to win. I think winning and playing well is very important to him. So we worked on those things. How do we do this based on situation or whatever it may be? Those are the number one goals for us.
Jimmy?
Jay, how do you get the running backs more involved in the passing game, and how important is that to the offense?
I think the first thing you have to understand the whole concept. It's not just your route; it's what all the other guys are doing. You have to know it, and in Jim's offense, it's a lot of different things. Conceptually, you have to understand, and those guys have done a great job. I'm like, you got to study if you want to get the ball in the pass game. You got to be in the right position. You got to be where the quarterback expects you to be, and they've really worked hard at that and how to adjust based on the coverage and all those different things that you get faced with when you're outside of the box. Those guys have done well with that, but we got to continue to do better, continue to work on it.
We'll go to David Pascal and then Rob Lewis.
Jay, what would you say is the biggest difference between coaching running backs now compared to what you were learning 25 years ago as a player at Tennessee?
Probably what Jimmy just mentioned. I mean, the game has changed. We used to line up and dot the I, and we were probably more progressive than others, as far as getting the ball to the backs, which helped me in coaching. But, it used to be eye football, inside the box, 10-yard fight, we run the ball 60 times and, that's all we did. But now it's changed, as a running back, you're a part of that. You're the fifth receiver. You might be the number one receiver out there. So you got to really understand the concepts, route concepts, and how to get the ball. How many times can we get you the ball? How many touches can we get you, in order to make plays and help the offense.
And as a quick follow, is that something that's changed in even the last 5 years when you think about the Camaras and the McCaffreys and the impact they've had?
It has, and also, that's why I say we do more than any other position. You got to be able to pass protect, and run blocking with quarterbacks running the ball more. There's so many different things that come up, but that's the key. Being able to move around and be adjustable in that way.
Rob?
Coach, I know Lemeth is still dealing with his foot, but what have you seen from the other two freshmen in Jabari and T?
Yes. Both of those guys are more mature than the average freshman, and I told them, hey, you guys have to be. I mean, dealing with this type of year we're dealing with it. It's unprecedented. So you got to really make sure you're ready and prepared. We can't treat you like freshmen. We have to demand that you play at a certain level. And those guys have really taken that to heart and worked hard. And I told them, I said, just don't have the typical freshman stuff. You got to really, you got to grow up right now. And those guys are working hard, they're studying, they're listening to the older guys and trying to do things like they do. So it's really been a big help, Jabari is talented. He's a talented young man. He can catch the ball. He can do those things that we discussed. And T can also has great ball skills. He's a bigger guy, which helps. So both of those guys have really worked hard.
We'll go to Rick Russo and then back to David Ubben.
Hey, Jay, how you doing, man? If you will, talk about being back at your alma mater, what that's been like for you from a personal standpoint and working with this particular staff and Coach Pruitt and, of course, having Coach Fulmer as the AD there.
Yes. First off, I mean, when I played in all those years, I've always had a love for Tennessee and what it's meant to me, more than just football. It's just everything, the university and what in this area. And, there's not a better place for me as far as when I was 17, 18 years old coming to this campus, and just developing me into the type of man that I needed to be to go out and into the world, whatever, I chose to do. I chose football because of my coaches. I chose to be a football coach because of the people, the men that coached me, and that helped me grow. So that was something that I really, really wanted to do. And I was fortunate, I am fortunate to have this opportunity to do it at Tennessee. And this is always a place that I've always envisioned myself here coaching. And it's a blessing to have that opportunity. I've been a lot of different places, but there's no place like Tennessee. There's no place like it. So I'm excited about the opportunity.
Okay, time for a couple more guys. So we'll go with David Ubben and then Austin Price.
Jay, if you're missing guys, what are the challenges there and how do you solve those?
It's not really, that's almost the same question when I think about it, because the way you solve it is the guy stepping up and ready to go. You have to stay ready. You have to study up. You can't sit there and go, oh, I'm third team. You're sad about next day. You're the starter. You have to prepare yourself every single day. We always say you got to stay ready. You can't get ready. You have to stay ready every day and be waiting on your opportunity, because it will come.
Austin?
Jay, in that same line of thinking, special teams, that's something you're in charge of. How will you have to adjust on the fly with that, because it's you're pulling in guys that are in different position groups, and then two, what's something you're pleased with about the special teams, and then where's an area that you probably still feel like you got to improve a little over a week out?
I think the biggest thing is, like I was talking about, everybody has to be ready. So there may be guys that have to understand more than one position. That happens a lot in the NFL, and that's what young men are training to do, a lot of them. So, we kind of giving them that teaching right now, that you have to be prepared. You have to pay attention to what's going on, and being flexible. Guys have been flexible and understand the situation and what we're dealing with. So they've done a great job, on the teams of doing that, and I think the key challenge for us and the whole staff, and Coach Pruitt has done a great job of being really involved in that, and it's talking about where can we put guys, where's the best place for guys to be, in order to help this team, and the young guys, the freshmen, have done well as far as working hard to do that. So, that's the challenge, making sure we put guys in the right position, and make sure that we always on top of that depth chart. I think we discussed that about half the time, where we're going to, place guys, and making sure they get trained up correctly.
All right, we have time for one more. We'll finish up with Patrick Brown.
Yeah, Jay, you kind of talked a little bit about Eric Gray earlier. Just what do you think the ceiling can be for him? And when you watched him and kind of reviewed his freshman season, where are some areas you thought he could take the next step as a player?
Mm-hmm. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find that ceiling. I told him every single day, go to practice, work hard. And he's done that. He's a very smart young man, because that's the first thing. If you're going to be able to do all these different things, you got to have the intelligence to understand it, the recall to know what's going on. He's a very intelligent young man. So it's always been good. Well, it's been good so far, him, as far as studying up and understanding different concepts. He's talented. He's elusive. He's got toughness. He wants to win. So, I don't know what the limit is. He don't know what the limits are for him. So he needs to work to find that, to work as hard as he possibly can to see how far he can go.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll have Coach Niedermeyer here in just a minute, guys.